Welcome, everybody. This should be episode 5 of the podcast. I have no idea, actually, if this will come out in the right order. It just depends. But so maybe I should stop saying that. I don't know. We'll see. However, I'm here joined with Jayden. Is there like a social media type name that you also go by?
Uh, that's that's a difficult question to answer because I guess I have two. Like for my filming stuff, it's called Channel 8, and that's like the company thing.
Hmm,
And then like online, all my usernames are Tonto, but
gotcha.
I'm fine with whatever name really.
Okay, Tonto. That sounds familiar. That sounds really familiar. I'm
I feel like you might have heard it from what's that
It's the
one
Lone
Disney
Ranger,
movie?
right?
Yes, yeah. There's a character that has that name. That's not where I got it from, but
Okay.
yeah.
So you have a an account where you make short films, I believe, right?
Yes, I do.
And you also do art, looks like.
Yes, it's a hard balance, but I do try to stick my fingers in different parts of art.
Yeah, I do really like that. I think your most creative people are doing that. There's the people who have the skill, and then there's people who might, and I mean this in only good ways because everybody has a little bit of one. So you either have all the skill, but then your creativity, isn't like 100%, and then sometimes you're fully creative, but then you're still like teaching yourself, which I think it makes it more fun in the long run. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like having to overcome those challenges. I think that's like the main part of it all.
Yeah, it's like for me, I'm not a very good artist, but like I feel like I have ideas of what I would draw if I started pursuing that more. I think drawing is one of as probably I think the reason why drawing is such a big popular thing in art is just because it is not the fact that it's lacking in skill, but it's just such an easy way and an affordable way to have art of expression. And it's something that people can just look at and understand and appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with like different styles and stuff. Like you don't really need like it to look a certain way. Like it can look however you want, and that can still be art and like your expression.
Yeah. Yeah, I plan to post a long video about art and probably work on it over this break.
Yeah.
And just kind of take a deep dive. So any of my followers, if you're interested in, so you should definitely go follow. But he's got some
Yeah.
short films up here that you definitely should check out. I'm gonna be completely honest. I haven't had the opportunity to check them out yet, only because I like doing this because I want to hear about them first and then watch. Maybe that's maybe I'll change this way of going about things later in the future. Who knows?
No, I think that's a cool way to do it because then like later on when you go and watch it, like you'll be able to relate back to our conversation with it.
Exactly. So I can learn your mindset and all that and then be able to appreciate it and try to view it from your lens.
Exactly.
Um so why don't I go ahead and get right into it. So you have so what was the first one of these that you started doing? Were you initially like big on art or initially big on doing filming? Which one would you say was your first calling?
It was definitely like art, and I think it's because that's like the easiest one to get into. Like you're just saying, like I feel like it's kind of like the starter level. So like I started as when I was a kid, like drawing comics and stuff to do like
Yeah.
stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get into film until recently. Sort of because like I finally had the ability and like the materials to do it. Like I in my high school, they provided us with like film cameras, and so that's when I finally was able to like experience film, and that's when I found a liking to it.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I get that. I think a lot of people start out with art. I feel like that's a very good gateway for people
Yeah,
with just drawing stuff because again, it's not easy to draw a very difficult drawing, but it's easy to start drawing. It's a very easy way to start to it's a very easy thing to start pursuing.
yeah.
Um, oh, I had a brain fart. So when did you start doing filming then?
Um, I didn't really start to my senior year of high school, so it's like really recently. So like my first film I made was like last year. Um, and the funny thing is we made a film for our animation class because I wanted to be an animator.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were doing VFX, so we could do like live action and then draw stuff on top of it. And since we had just like gotten done with another really big animation project, me and my friends were kind of tired of doing animation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're like, why don't we like do this like weird film like inspired by like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and we can do some animations on top to like still get a good grade. And that was my first film that I did.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. It's kind of cool that you have see, film's one of those interesting things where it's kind of like I think two people take different routes to get to that same thing that they want. Like some people are just really good storytellers. Like some people just really like movies. They also
Yeah.
really like writing stories and they want to like put those together. However, then some other people are more of like the art, I would say, though I think it's all art, but when I say art, there's obviously a certain thing that, relates with that. But when I say
Mhm.
art, it's kind of like that visual aspect, where some people are very more into the photography aspect of film and more focused on that. So if you're going to say one was, and now it doesn't, it doesn't have to be one or the other, but if you were going to say which one was more you?
Definitely the storytelling, because the reason I'm in it is for the stories, and that's why I switched to film, because I think it's a lot easier to get a story across in film versus animation, because like that takes like a bigger team and a lot more time.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely, definitely.
yeah, so I'm in it mostly for the storytelling. And I just happen to be a little bit good at art, and that's where I started from.
Yeah, animation again, another one of those things where like I really feel bad. Now, I don't want to pity them, but it's one of those things where it's one of those if you're looking to be a animator, like full support and like please pursue that because I understand it's like a very hard thing to make a career in your life because it's so hard to get places where you can get a job doing that. But then also I feel like being an animator is I wonder if it feels any way like constraining because like let's say you're working for a big animating company. Like you might not be the one writing the story or having the vision on it, but you're drawing the scenes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really I want to learn what that's like on a big level. Like for these big animating companies, like say you work for Disney and animating. Like what is that
Mhm.
like, I wonder?
I have honestly have no idea, and I don't know. I guess I really love animation, and anyone that's going into that, I like have full support of them. I wanted to be an animator, and I saw what my I would have to do in college for it, and I instantly
Oh
switched my
yeah.
major.
Oh
I
really?
like, yeah, I changed my major like almost immediately. Um,
I
so I was like,
just
yeah, I
I fear it's one of those things where I feel like it would be a really cool job, but I wonder if it would feel at all limiting to have that job.
You're right. That's what I think. Because like I only want to animate if it's a story that I'm like invested in.
Exactly.
I didn't want to work for a company maybe getting stuck with like some stupid animation that like was gonna bomb in the box office. Like
Yeah.
that's not what I want to put my like skills towards. Like I want to be actually contributing to like my own like ideas and stuff. As selfish as that sounds, like I want to be a part of the storytelling process.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's people who just like drawing and like art, and that's where I say, and that's where I think with what I was saying earlier about the more creative than skill, more than skill than creative, right? It's like people who are just really, really good at art, but maybe aren't the most creative people, I feel like
Mhm.
make would make great animators. Now, I don't know that for sure, so I need to have one of these people who work for these big companies as an animator on the podcast.
Yeah, you
I can
do.
learn about that. Um, but then it kind of like in your situation, it's like, yes, you like animation. Yes, you wanted to do animation. But if you're not involved in each step of the process, I feel like it would be kind of like, dang, that kind of like I don't know if I would want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
At least get some sort of say, right? At least, because that's another thing. Like animation, takes forever to do.
Hmm.
It is not some just like 2 day process where we just sit down and make a animation. Like it takes, and to even get it done on like a quick level, you have to have a ton of people. So you can't get
Yeah.
everybody's input. I mean, you can, but you can try. But back to more of your film related. So what was kind of the first short film you made?
Um, well, so again, the short film, my first one ever was the one I did for my animation class.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
and it's called Defective Detective.
Defective
Um,
Detective.
yeah, yeah. And do you want me to give like a little bit of what it's about?
Sure, why not? I'm looking at it now. It's like a 12 minute. 12 minutes is pretty decent length for a short film. You also have one that's 30 minutes. That's also pretty good.
Yeah.
I like your logo,
I've,
by the way.
oh, thank you, thank you.
So maybe break it down like this. Like maybe give me the genre, the main characters, and then a summary of the story.
Okay, like a little synopsis. All right, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Defective Detective, that is my shortest one, which I think is kind of funny because I feel like even 12 minutes is like decent length for a short film.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but so the main characters are Detective Who and Officer What. Um, and the genre is kind of like absurd, like humor. Um, like it's definitely more about the humor than it is about like the story. Like it's like in the world there's like 2D drawn characters in it as well. So it's kind of like a little bit like Roger Rabbit, with the whole detective vibe, but it's also
Hmm.
like 2D characters in this world also.
Wait,
Um,
really?
yeah, because it was from my
Oh, I'm
animation class.
definitely watching this afterwards. This is cool.
I mean, I think we wanted to add more animated characters, but we were kind of limited. So like it's not like crazy full of animation, but there are parts in it where you can see we tried.
9 months ago. Wow, okay. So you've had so how many short films have you had then? You've had is it just two right now or
It's
multiple?
It's three currently, like three that are
Three.
my own.
So
Yeah.
you've had Detective or Defective Detective, you've had Wiz, and you've
Yes.
had Silent Melody, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay,
Those are my
cool.
three.
Didn't mean to
Um,
interrupt. You
no,
can
no, you're
continue telling.
perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I mean, I guess that's kind of it. Like, you kind of have to watch it because I don't want to give any spoilers in case people do want to watch
Hmm.
it. But basically, like, detective who is a really bad detective, and he's sent on this last case to prove himself, or else he's going to be fired. Um, And then Officer What is like this partner that he's put up with, and she's like the best detective. And they're trying to solve this case, and it's kind of like a little rambunctious duo thing.
I need to get you in contact with some people. See, this is what I'm really loving about what I'm doing right now is it's giving me the opportunity to like almost like network people. Be like, "Oh, I know this dude in this realm of art, and then I know this dude in this realm of art. Let me bring them together." Because
Yeah,
I
that's
know some other people who are kind of into film, animation, short film, that type of
mhm.
realm, and I'm sure they would love to talk to you.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly why I applied for this because like this is such a great podcast idea, and it's like honestly something that I had thought of for a little bit, but I just never got into podcasting. So I was
Mm.
like, I saw this, I was this is really cool, and I want to be a part of this.
I'm really glad you say that because I felt when I first came up with the idea, I was like, the reason I thought about podcasts is because people, and I've said this on probably every episode now, that people constantly keep telling me I have like a radio host voice.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly, I mean, I see it, but I just didn't necessarily see that of myself. And definitely when I'm doing the podcast, I hear playback of my voice, so I'm very self-conscious about it.
Hmm.
Um, and but other than that, I felt like this was a really good way to not only like it is to shine a light, but I don't have a huge following, so it's not gonna be like, oh, bam, you're gonna blow up after this, right? Like I
Yeah.
understand that, and it's not gonna be the same for me. And I'm not looking for that out of other creators. I'm mainly looking for it as just a way to build a community, which I think is more important. Like I would rather have 100 fans who watch all my videos than 1,000 who just scroll.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Because I don't know, I find it cool to just because you have like I'm sure you have this too, but like with family and stuff like that, like um yes, you appreciate them supporting your art and stuff like that, but it doesn't feel it's so much more meaningful when you have somebody you've never met before, someone who's not close to you, someone you really have no connection to at all, just see your stuff and appreciate it and like enjoy it.
Yeah. Because I mean, when it's your family, it's almost like they kind of have to enjoy it. So it's
Yeah,
like, it's so much. It feels a lot better when it's someone random because it's like this person that has no emotional connection to me likes the stuff that I'm putting out there.
exactly. Exactly. That's exactly how I so again, thanks to all my family who are listening to this podcast now, who are just, being super supportive. I really appreciate it. However, it is really cool to see kind of some of this different stuff. So think about the best way to word this. How are you going about making these short films? So are these your own, so why don't we start with this? Are these your own stories? Like are you writing them all of these yourself or with a group of people?
Well, it's kind of different depending on which one. Um, like for the first one, Defective Detective, it was a group project. So I came up with a lot of the ideas and I wrote a lot of it, but I was working with like a partner for the
Mm-hmm.
story.
Yeah.
Um, but for Wiz, that one is completely my own. Like I created the story, I directed it, like edited it, like it's kind of like my baby or something. Like it's
Yeah.
fully mine.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
I got you.
yeah, and then for my most recent one, I also partnered with one of my friends because she was a really good writer, and she's been wanting to like come up with a short film. So I had an idea, and I pitched it to her, and I was like, "Can you help me like finish like writing the script?" And so we worked together and finished writing it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that's very cool that you're able to kind of just partner with different people. I think so when it comes to a lot of these short films, has it been when you're trying to find the story, has it been one of those things where you had just been thinking of this story for a while, or was it something more along the lines of you needed to have a story and so you needed to come up with one? Like, this is a really weird question and I'm wording this wrong, but it's like, was it just just spontaneous? You're like, oh, I have an idea for a short film, or was it you need to have an idea for one?
No, I understand the question. That's a pretty good question. Most of the time, the story's kind of just like I get the idea for it, and I'm like, okay, this is like what I'm gonna be working towards and like making my next project. Um, but there has been times where it's like I need a story, and I come up with an idea, and it kind of like evolves from there. Um,
Hmm.
like for Wiz, originally my I had an idea for it because me and some friends were gonna come up with like a little like skit. Like each person was gonna write a skit and we were gonna put it together in one big video. But that fell through and so like no one came up with anything. But I already had an idea and so instead I evolved it and turned it into just like a full short film.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I really like that. Yeah, I'll have to that makes a lot of sense. I think I feel like I knew the answer to that question, but I just wanted to ask you it so I could let you give you that opportunity because I think it's definitely more it's better to just work off of your just how things come up in your head instead of trying to meet up with a writer and just try to find a story you need to have. Like not saying like you can't do that and it won't be good. It's just that I think it's sometimes better for you if you're able to just have a story that you just thought of one random day and you're just able to just be consumed by that. Like just be obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Um, so who's acting in these short films? Are these friends? Are these people who are acting majors? Like kind of how's that work?
Yeah, most of them are just my friends.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because I mean, all of the projects have been zero budget, so like I can't promise anyone anything.
Hmm.
So they do it out of the kindness of their hearts.
Are these
And I
fellow
don't.
SCAD students or?
No, actually, because all of my films so far have been from before I went to college,
Mhm.
like over the summer, So they're all friends that I went to high school with that are now like going to colleges, different
Oh,
places.
okay. All right, I gotcha. That's very interesting. So you'll have to maybe maybe that's one thing while you're at SCAD that you should try to get people in on. Maybe you find the are you in there's film club I'm sure there's film clubs at SCAD, right?
Yeah, there is.
And I'm sure you're a part of it.
Yeah, I have been to almost like all the meetings.
Good. I was about to say. I was like, you're seriously missing out if you're not in on that. Yeah. So are you filming anything currently?
Yes, I am. I'm working on probably my longest short film yet right now.
Okay. How long are we thinking? We're thinking like over 40?
I'm thinking it'll be close to 40. But honestly, I've no sense until I start putting the clips together.
And do you edit all of these yourself or do you have somebody else edit them?
Yeah, I edit all of them as of right now.
Wow. I'm definitely gonna check these out like the second we get off the podcast because these look really cool. Again, for anybody listening, Channel 8 Films on YouTube. Are there any other platforms you're on for? I know you're on Instagram.
Yeah, I am on Instagram. It's channel 8 without the A, because it was already taken. But yeah,
Gotcha.
those are the only two platforms I use currently.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of potential here. Not like I'm like trying to like prospect art here. I think it's
Yeah,
cool. I think it's cool to see these things that people like even though because again, I feel like we're at very similar levels here. Like I don't have a super huge following and not to diminish your accomplishment. Just we both seem to not have super huge followings and I think
yeah,
we
definitely.
can acknowledge that. And I think you know, it's it'll be cool to see where everybody is at in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, definitely. It's honestly so strange to think about because it's like there's so many people out there doing the same stuff, and it's kind of just like almost luck, but then almost kind of like what are you doing to be different? And that's what I think about every day when I think of my stuff. Like it's like what am I doing that's different from everyone else to get people like to watch my stuff? Like why do I deserve to have my stuff be watched by other people?
I think that's what's good about this is I feel like if we make a community here and if we all kind of piggyback off each other in some sense, not saying we all gotta make content that has to incorporate other people 24/7, but if we're kind of all like be like, oh, if you like this aspect of my channel, then you'll like the aspect of this person's, and they'll do the same for you. Like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, is there one project? I think you already said this about Wiz, but is Wiz like your project that I think you already said this, but I'm gonna ask it again just to clarify. Your the one project you've worked on that's like your greatest, this can include art as well, but just the greatest thing you've made, the thing you're the most proud of, and the thing you think you spent the most time on.
Yes, like I joke around and say like it's my magnum opus, um, purely because it's like I spent a lot of time into it, and I'm really proud of how it came out, despite like all the challenges that we went through.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys go to where are you guys' film locations? Like have you had to get like permission to like film anywhere?
Um, well, not really. We haven't ever like rented out a place. So most of the spots we film are like people's houses, like like people that are part of the film. Public places, like I believe in Wiz, there's a scene at Target that we were just filming in.
Yeah, I
Um,
see in the trailer photo there's somebody riding a shopping cart, so that's awesome.
yes, yeah, that's a cool montage scene. Um, and Are times that we're in like smaller stores where we just ask the people up front, or like gas stations, right? We're like, oh, can we film in here? And either they say yes or they say no, and we just go off of that, you know?
Have they been like, so that's one thing. So my buddy, he's been working on a short film, and I'll give you his contacts at some point. Um, I'm sure I'll see if he wants to reach out, whatever. But he's doing a short film currently, and I've been like in his short film, like kind of helping and stuff like that. And that's one thing that any time we talked about, like it's very awkward to go ask somebody if you can go film there. You know what I mean? Like if it's like a public
Yeah.
place or like a grocery store.
Yeah, no, it is awkward, and a lot of this filming has been like a test to my social anxiety because the amount of
Yeah.
like weird stuff, like I'm not even an actor in it, but like just coming up and holding the camera, like you know, you get a lot of stares, like a lot of people look at you, um, and you know, a lot of people aren't okay with it either. Like a lot of people are scared of cameras and will get upset if like they see you pointing a camera at them. So there's just a lot of like interactions with people that you don't know how they're gonna be about it until you actually talk to them, and that's like helped me like you know be more open to people.
Yeah. Have you had anybody get mad that you filmed them or anything like that, or just curious?
um just like the other day, we were for this current film I'm working on, there's a scene where we needed a bunch of people to like slam doors on the main character's face as he's like advertising stuff, and a lot of like, and we just didn't have that many extras that we know, so we just went up to doors and we're knocking and like, hey, we're doing a project, would you be okay with just like closing the door on him? But a lot of
Oh,
people thought we were actually soliciting, because he had a bunch of papers and they thought we were going around trying to sell stuff. And we had this one old man who started to get mad at us, um, while we were asking him the question. He was like I don't know. He was kind of incoherent, because he was like joking with
yeah.
us at first, so he thought we were good, and then all of a sudden he was like, "You guys need to get out of here!" Like he completely
Yeah.
changed tone, and we're like, "Okay, okay, we're going, we're going."
Yeah, I'd be kind of like, I'd be like, I don't know how to handle the situation. Yeah, like I definitely see what you mean by like testing your social anxiety for sure. It's one of those things like anytime I've done any like filming with them, I'm like, let's just not go inside. Not because it's like we couldn't ask. It's just like trying to avoid it. But then like for what you're doing, it's like you kind of just have what you need and it's like you kind of just got to be like you got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Do you have any other kind of crazy stories from filming?
Let's see. I know for Silent Melody, my most recent one up. It's actually it's my first time doing like a serious genre. Because my two
Uh-huh.
other ones are comedy, so that one's like more serious tone. Um, but I the very first day of filming, I had one of my closest friends. She was supposed to be the main character in it. Um, and she dropped out like the day of. Um, and so
Uh-oh.
we had to find someone to replace the main character, like quickly. And unfortunately, because of the way that we wrote the script, because it covers like a pretty serious topic, no one that we knew would be comfortable enough to fill in the role. So, um, the co-writer that I worked with, because she was so dedicated to the film, she stepped in, and even though it made her uncomfortable to like film the stuff that we did, it like she was dedicated to making the film because she wrote it, and so that was like a crazy obstacle we had to go over.
What would you say is something you've learned through this whole process? Is there something that through film that you've learned about like what are things after doing these short films like each time what's something you learned from it?
I learned to always just go with the flow. I used to like want to plan everything out like little by little, and I would get really stressed out and upset anytime something went off track, like if someone was late to like our filming, or you know like something went wrong, and I would always be worried about how it's going to affect the film, because it's like, you know, I want to present it well, and it just kind of, you know, stressed me out when it didn't. But recently, after each film I've done, I'm like, in the end, it turns out okay. Like I always have found a way, so I always like have to remind myself like, don't worry, like it's gonna turn out fine, and you might like actually like what happens through the accidents. And I find a lot of like happy accidents are made while filming, that like are
Yeah.
improvised or like you find a way to like make it like into a better situation.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. That definitely makes sense. I think anytime I've done that's kind of it's funny it brings up because when I was helping my buddy with the short film he's been working on, I noticed that it's hard it was really hard to get everyone like I feel like you have to have somebody to help you there and organize it to make sure you're capturing everything you want to capture. Because if you're spending so much time trying to explain to somebody what they need to do, and you're not taking the time to make sure that, say, the shot looks good or that the lighting is good, like if you're having to hand operate every single part of the situation, then you're not going to be able to come out with exactly what you're looking for. And I feel like um, I feel like it's good that you're trying to go in more prepared, and try to really plan out. But then again, also you do just have to go with the flow and realize that things aren't going to go exactly how you want them to go. But you also still have to have that mindset where if something does happen that screws up your plan, that you're able to problem solve and combat those issues, calmly and logically.
Yeah, exactly. It's helped me a lot with my problem solving.
Hmm. Would you say you're very, would you say you struggle with patience? Not with people, but with just doing things. Like if you have a project you want to work on, would you say you struggle to be patient? Like, do you want to get that done like immediately?
Um, no, I think I enjoy the process.
Hmm.
And although I am excited for the final product, there's a part of me that almost doesn't want it to end yet. Like honestly,
Huh.
we've been filming like 6 days in a row already. Um, and I feel like it's going by so fast. I'm like we just finished like our finale scene the other day, and I'm like, damn, I didn't expect to like film that scene until like way later. So the fact that we're already filming it is pretty crazy.
Yeah, wow. You say 6 days in a row you guys have been filming.
Yeah,
That
we're
you have
they're
some good
very
friends right
dedicated.
there. Yeah, you have some good
Yeah.
friends right there.
Yeah, honestly, I
Yeah.
owe it a lot to the person I'm working with. His name's Enrique. Um, and he helped me come up with a lot of ideas for this film, and he's been like on it with like scheduling people and making sure like we have everything. So I would not have been able to do it without him. So he's awesome.
Can I get the name of the short film you're working on right now?
Yeah, it's called Wormwood.
Wormwood.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. I've already subscribed and followed on all your socials, so I'm definitely gonna make sure to keep an eye out for it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Is there is there somebody can't believe I haven't touched this on yet. This is usually where I ask first, but now we're asking it later in the podcast. Is there somebody that inspired you, not expired, inspired you? So whether that be a film that inspired you or a director, an actor, anything like that?
Um, let's see. There's like I have favorite like directors and stuff, but I don't know if they've really like directly inspired my work. I mean, maybe in some way. Um, but really, a lot of my inspirations are actually people that are closer to me. Um, like I have this one friend, Nick, who he's also a part of this like group of friends that film stuff, and they have a YouTube channel as well. Um, and it's called the UFO Show, and they do like funny skits and stuff. And I would see them film this stuff, and I loved it. And I was like, I want to do stuff like that too. So I think they were like a direct inspiration for like getting me to start filming
Hmm.
stuff, and I've been working with them like this whole time.
You should tell them that they're invited to be on the podcast. I say this on every episode, but if you know somebody or somebody that's just creative, has a channel, whatever, they have an invite. They just have to message me.
Of course,
Because
yeah, I will tell them.
I'm extremely open to people being on this podcast. This is literally the door is wide open. Um, but that actually leads me into a more deeper question. So I think a lot of so I feel like I wonder with how your mindset is on this, but would you say that you're kind of inspired by short films from what you encounter in your daily life? Like something that happens and you want to capture that?
Hmm. I recently, yes, I've been wanting to get into more personal and deeper topics. Um, and especially with like stuff that I've been going through recently. Like nothing crazy, but like just there's a point where it's like you want to start expressing how you perceive the world and like how you feel. And I think I'm
Yeah.
getting to that. Like my next film, like after this one, I'm already doing. I'm already planning ahead.
Hmm.
But like I want to start doing like a little bit more serious films. Maybe also just to get me taken more seriously. Um, but
Yeah.
definitely, I'm starting to look at more emotional stuff.
Yeah, I think that's and again, I'm trying to figure out the best way to break this down online because half the time when we do this, I don't have like I didn't like hyper think about something, write it down. Like most of the time, this is just me like in the best way possible. I'm shooting from the hip. Um,
Yeah.
but I was gonna say is it almost feels like when it comes to film, like you could almost see two paths of inspiration. There's just inspiration from just your raw thoughts of something cool, like where like a lot of sci-fi would come from, and like when you see these films where they're creating these obscure and abstract worlds and stuff like that. And then some films are just, even if they're a bit wild seeming, they're taken straight from reality.
Hmm.
And I wonder, and I guess that's a cool thing to think about because in some ways you can think of a lot of movies that feel obscure and be like, no, that is reflective of reality. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like maybe the real answer is like you're always inspired uh by real life, you know?
That's true, because a lot of my movie inspirations are kind of wacky, but at the same time, like you think about it, and their message usually is like something just kind of about like the mundane life. Like I think about like Scott Pilgrim is one of my favorite movies ever.
Hmm.
Um and it's all about like relationships, and like not being a bad person. Um and then
Yeah,
Napoleon Dynamite too. Like that movie is so
great
funny,
movie.
but it's just about
Phenomenal
a
movie.
yes, it's so good. And it's just about a kid that's like at high school and he's just a little weird. Like I think it's like those are the best movies because you can laugh at them and you can be like obsessed and immersed in this like absurd world, but at the same time like you can connect to it and feel like you're getting a message from it.
So maybe this leads to another great question. What are your favorite films?
Oh, okay. Um Man, it's bringing me back to Letterboxd. Again, definitely Scott Pilgrim and Napoleon Dynamite. Um I also really like They Clone Tyrone. I watched that like a few months ago.
I've heard of
Crazy,
that.
like that's so good. You need to watch it because that one
Okay.
directly inspired me for like the color grading for one of my films. Just because the
Oh,
way it looks is awesome, but the story is insane too. That's another one where it's like absurd, but also like really deep.
wow. Okay. Are these all okay? I'm sorry. I know Napoleon Dynamite, but I don't know the other two. I will watch these, I promise. Um, are these more comedy leaning films? I know Napoleon Dynamite is. Um, are the other two?
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim definitely is comedy. And They Clone Tyrone, I don't know, I'd say it's more of like kind of like a like sci-fi thriller-ish sort of, but it definitely has
Oh.
like comedic element as well.
Yeah. It's like how okay, not to like I don't want to make this like a bad comparison, but like you know how like Marvel is like serious, but then a lot of their films are have comedic aspects, right? You know,
Yeah.
so it's not just full on comedy, but it's also not, the complete opposite.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is.
There's comedic relief. Okay, there's a maybe the aspect of the movie, like the main aspect, like they cloned Tyrone, sounds like it's supposed to be a joke, right? Like I feel like the name is inherently like kind of trying to make a funny name, I guess. You know what I mean?
I don't know. You have to watch it because the name is pretty clever with like what goes on in the story. So I think you just gotta watch it to figure
Maybe
it
I'm
out.
reading the face value wrong here. Maybe I'll definitely check it out for sure. So now I'm curious.
Yeah,
Um,
it's good.
say, well, we're almost at the 45-minute mark. This has gone by really fast. It's been a very good conversation. Let me think. Um, don't worry. This random parts of me just blanking out and saying won't be in the podcast.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I figured it would be edited.
Yeah, I have to get my buddy has been doing a lot of my editing and I've like told him I was like I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start doing this myself. I've never been very good at editing. Um but like I literally like most of the content I've produced has just been like TikTok videos and
Yeah,
that type of crap. Because like I started making like guitars and ukuleles and stuff like that and then I just kind of started posting it a good bit. And then I started getting more into posting it. And then now I'm doing this podcast and I have avoided making a like a an edited video as much as I possibly could, but now I feel like I just need to do it.
yeah. I mean, and there's everyone starts somewhere, so I feel like it's just you gotta jump into it.
So I guess I was really hoping I had another good question, but I really don't think I do. So I think my final question for you would be, is there is there a piece of advice that you would give to aspiring short filmmakers or artists? Is there any small piece of advice you'd like to give them?
Um, let's see, man. I gotta think of an advice that like I would also give to myself. Um, I think mainly it's just do it. Like literally just get out there and do it no matter what you have. Like stop putting
We
it
are
off.
not sponsored by Nike. Just
No,
want to put
where
that
you're
out
not.
there.
No.
Sorry.
But I feel like that guy in front of that green screen, I forgot his name, but just saying like just do it. Cause I mean that's
Yeah.
literally there
Yeah,
shouldn't
I know
be
what you're talking
anything.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anything holding you back when you do it. Is because like if you hold it off, then it's never gonna happen, and you're never gonna see progress, or you're never gonna get where you want to be. So I think it's just don't be afraid and get it done.
That might be the title of this video. Just do it.
Just
I
do it.
like that. I like that. It's
Not
almost like that's how they
sponsored.
came up with the Nike slogan. Oh my
Yeah, that
gosh.
probably is.
That's funny. No, I like that's a good piece of advice. That is a good piece of advice. The hardest part is just getting started. Like this podcast. You know,
Yep.
that's gonna be the hardest part about getting a regular listener to this podcast. You just gotta follow me and you gotta subscribe. Sorry. Just gonna
Yep.
I'm not gonna plug a
No,
ton.
I started. I watched the 2 episodes that are out already, and I'm excited for more.
Well, thank you guys for listening. This was again a great interview with Jayden. If you want to go check out his stuff, his short films and his art, he has two Instagram accounts that will be in the bio, and he's also got a YouTube channel that again will be tagged in the bio or a link in the bio. Um, and yeah, if is there any final things you want to leave our viewers?
I guess really I just want to thank you. Thank you for this like opportunity. It's great to like get into a community and talk to people that even if it's not the same art, like we have still that drive, and it's so much fun to be part of that.
Amen. I'm really glad you joined. I had no idea who you were, and now I feel like I know a lot about you. You seem like a really cool guy. But
Too.
thank you for joining. Thank you guys for listening. Definitely go follow and subscribe. Definitely go follow and subscribe to him. And thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.